This is about the most miserable experience I've had down here in Washington, D.C.
For that, I guess we're sorry, but man, you should have been here on January 6th.
The Senate wrapped up what turned into an increasingly heated question and answer phase of Donald Trump's second impeachment trial on Friday.
How dare you?
Setting up a final up or down vote for as soon as Saturday on whether to convict the former president for inciting last month's deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol.
In your judgment, did Trump actually win the election?
In one tense exchange during the Q&A session, Trump's lawyer, Michael Van Der Veen, appeared to be annoyed with a question from Bernie Sanders about Trump's false claims of widespread voter fraud.
My judgment? Who asked that? My judgment's irrelevant in this proceeding. It absolutely is. What's supposed to happen here is the article of impeachment is supposed to be...
The Senate will be in order.
On the fourth day of the trial, Trump's lawyers concluded their defense after less than 3 hours of their allotted 16, with lead counsel Bruce Castor arguing the House managers had provided no evidence that Trump incited the Capitol riot.
They spent no time at all in connecting legally the attack on the Capitol to the 45th President of the United States, which is the only question that needs to be answered.
Earlier, Trump's lawyers came out swinging, so to speak, accusing the House managers of setting what defense attorney David Schoen called a dangerous double standard by focusing on Trump's words, "fight like hell," during his January 6th speech.
Stop the hypocrisy.
And presented multiple extensive montages of Democratic lawmakers using the word fight in political speeches.
Democrats are going to fight like hell.
Trump's lawyers argued that his remarks were protected by the First Amendment's guarantee of free speech and portrayed the impeachment trial as little more than the result of a political witch hunt.
It is constitutional cancel culture.
The defense followed 2 days of presentations by the 9 House Democrats serving as prosecutors, who showed graphic videos of the Capitol siege and shared tweets they said made clear that Trump had set the stage for the violence by falsely claiming the election was stolen, which the House managers referred to as the big lie. On Friday, Van Der Veen said the Democrats' charge of incitement was a lie, but used more flowery adjectives.
It's a preposterous and monstrous lie.
The Democrats are unlikely to get a conviction in the closely divided Senate, as few Republican senators have come out against Trump.
Thank you.
But in a rare moment of bipartisanship on Friday, the Senate voted unanimously to award Capitol Police Officer Eugene Goodman with a Congressional Gold Medal for his quick actions during the Capitol siege to protect the Congress.
At a pharmacy in Chicago, visitors rolled up their sleeves to get a first dose of a COVID-19 vaccination. Walgreens and CVS pharmacies this week will begin inoculations against the novel coronavirus.
All right.
Jamie Stranatka is this Walgreens pharmacy manager.
I'm really excited to be a part of this and to be a part of the solution. It's really great when patients come in. They're so thankful and happy to finally get the vaccine. And it's nice that this is the beginning of the end of the pandemic.
The White House this week began coordinating shipments of vaccines directly to 6,500 pharmacies with the goal of reaching about 40,000. Vaccine distribution comes at a critical time in the United States, with officials expecting the country's coronavirus death toll to soon reach 500,000. Stadiums have been converted into vaccination sites. 2 new centers were readied in Oakland and East Los Angeles this week to serve minority populations.
Each of them is going to be capable of providing 6,000 vaccinations per day.
Grady Joseph is with the California Office of Emergency Services.
Our goal is to get these stood up quickly and then be able to scale them to be able to meet the needs of the particular communities that we're working to serve.
The U.S. government is already ahead of pace to meet President Biden's goal of 100 million shots in 100 days. But the rollout has hit problems as states scramble to distribute federal deliveries. 2 months ago, state officials had a surplus and doses sat unused. Now they say they face a shortfall. Weekly shipments are now up to 11 million, up from 8.6 million when President Joe Biden took office.
In Myanmar's biggest city, Yangon, 28-year-old protester Spidey 2 is suiting up. His name is a pseudonym. his costume another way to conceal his identity. And he needs to do that, he says, because police are coming at night to arrest people. Arrest raids in recent days have added to anger over the detention of democracy icon Aung San Suu Kyi. And Yangon, Mandalay and the capital Naypyidaw witnessed the 8th straight day of protests on Saturday. The United Nations Human Rights Office said on Friday that more than 350 people, including officials, activists and monks, have been arrested since the February the 1st coup. The government did not respond to requests for comment. The army says it seized power because of alleged fraud in a November election that Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy won by a landslide, complaints that have been dismissed by Myanmar's Electoral Commission. On Friday, the 47-member UN Human Rights Council adopted a resolution calling on Myanmar to release Suu Kyi and other officials from detention and refrain from using violence on protesters. The United States began imposing sanctions on the ruling generals and some businesses linked to them this week, and US Charge d'Affaires Mark Hasser urged others to follow that example.
Join us in promoting accountability for those responsible for the coup, including through targeted sanctions.
Myanmar's most important ally, China, told the special session in Geneva that it was working towards a return to normal in its neighbour. But Ambassador Chen Zhu also added that, quote, what happened in Myanmar is essentially Myanmar's internal affairs.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is taking her call for hefty government spending to boost economies out of the doldrums caused by the health crisis on the road. In a Friday video meeting with her peers from the Group of Seven Rich Nations, or G7 as it is called, Yellen called for continued fiscal support to bolster the global economy, saying, quote, the time to go big is now. Going big doesn't, however, mean going it alone. Yellen said the U.S. was ready to re-engage the global body, which includes Britain, Japan, France, Germany, Italy, and Canada, as it helps steer the global economy out of the worst slump since the Great Depression. That is in contrast to the solitary approach taken by the Trump administration. The G7 was thrown into chaos during the Trump years, including a 2018 incident when Trump refused to sign on to a joint communique after a leaders' summit because of a trade dispute between the U.S. and Canada. Yellen is promising a more cooperative tone under the Biden administration. The U.S. is now signaling an openness to support G7 efforts to have the International Monetary Fund provide help to low-income countries hit by the health crisis. Other topics on the table included inequality, vaccines, climate change, and an international solution to the tax challenges resulting from the digital economy. Yellen and her counterparts are laying the groundwork for leaders from the G7 who are expected to hold their first in-person summit in 2 years at a British seaside village in June.
Zoo officials believe 2 white tiger cubs that died in a Pakistan zoo last month may have been victims of Covid-19. The cubs died in the Lahore Zoo on January 30th, 4 days after beginning treatment for what officials thought was feline panleukopenia virus, a disease the zoo said is common in Pakistan and targets cats' immune systems. But an autopsy found the cubs' lungs were badly damaged and were suffering from severe infection. Pathologists concluded that they died from Covid-19. Zoo Deputy Director Kiran Salim said the cubs had probably caught the virus from someone handling and feeding them. She said all the zoo staff were tested for coronavirus, with 6 testing positive, including one who handled the cubs. Animal rights activists say hundreds of animals die in Pakistan Zoo from poor living conditions and neglect. And Sufisha Nanushe, founder of the Justice for Kiki Animal Rescue and Shelter, said this case was no different. Salim rejected such allegations, saying that animal rights activists were welcome to visit.
Bitcoin is testing fresh record highs. The cryptocurrency hit over $48,000 on Thursday, up around 6.9%. By Friday morning, it had eased back but was still holding above 47%. The gains came after BNY Mellon said it had formed a new unit to help clients hold, transfer and issue digital assets. A new unit at the bank is expected to roll out the offerings later this year. The largest virtual currency in terms of market capitalization has gained around 66% so far this year and soared roughly 1,200% since mid-March 2020. The BNY Mellon announcement came just days after Elon Musk's Tesla revealed it had bought $1.5 billion worth of the cryptocurrency and plans to start accepting it as a form of payment for its cars. After long being shunned by traditional financial firms, Bitcoin has finally entered the mainstream. Last month, BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, added Bitcoin as an eligible investment to 2 funds. And this week, credit card giant MasterCard said it was planning to offer support for some cryptocurrencies on its network this year. But analysts say corporations are simply hedging themselves against the possibility that Bitcoin succeeds, while other market participants continue to advise caution.